Let's dive into a conversation that nobody would expect us to have, but I feel like we're actually kind of in the middle of it all, or we're in the middle of it all at the very beginning. I referenced this video earlier. I watched it. It was on like April 10th, 2021, which seems like 15 years ago whenever it comes to like internet life, but it definitely feels longer for the person, or has felt longer for the person that you're about to hear speak about this. So we all knew that the NIL thing was going to happen, name, image, likeness. We all knew that college players were going to start making money off of their names, images, and likenesses. That was going to become a thing, but there was only one person, or at least somebody that we knew that was really speaking publicly about it, that was trying to pass a bill in the government to kind of make it a more regulated, more accepted thing so that the NCAA could just say, yep, here it is. It's the rule of the land. It's the rule of us. Here's Anthony Gonzalez talking about why he was presenting a bill for the NIL a little bit over a year ago before this whole thing really blasted off into what it has become now.
And so we'll extend the right. We'll put up some guardrails around recruiting, make sure that you're not literally paying guys to go to whatever school, and then empower the athletes and hopefully get college football or college sports in general. I think it'll apply to everybody back to a place that makes sense. Because if we're in a world where every state has a different set of rules with respect to what you can do marketing wise,
it's Wild Wild West.
It's chaos. So we're going to get out of that world.
That's what he said he was going to do or try to do. And then since that time, Anthony Gonzalez fell out of favor in the political world with every single party.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
He has since retired. Hey, congrats.
There you go, Gonzo.
Enjoy it, Gonzo.
Congrats. Life is good.
Peace of mind.
But he might have been the only human that really truly understood it all in that particular world and could have got some real things done and some guardrails, because what he said there is we don't want it to directly become a recruiting tool. It is. It is vastly that. And a man wrote an article in Sports Illustrated about the SEC commissioner and the Pac-12 commissioner traveling to D.C. today to meet with senators to somehow get some guardrails on it. It feels like they at least would have known that this was coming from Gonzo, but who knows how you stop what the NIL has become. It is full free agency. Joining us from Sports Illustrated, ladies and gentlemen, Ross Delling.
Yeah!
What's going on, man?
Good to be on with you guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us. I want to learn a little bit more here about what's going on. How likely is it that something happens, and how likely is it that it continues to go the way it is and just every school is going to have venture capitalists like money to go and spend and recruit on guys in the football world, basketball world, and probably every single sport?
Well, it's not likely that something happens in Congress this year. Certainly not before the midterm elections. I know that Greg Sankey and George Kayakov are up there in D.C. trying to lobby for a federal legislation, like Anthony Gonzalez said, right? That is the thing that's needed. That's the solution, and they just couldn't agree on it. The Republicans and Democrats differed on what a federal NIL bill would look like. I think they got somewhat close last May, but it fell through. Mainly, it fell through for healthcare reasons. The Democrats basically want a broad bill. The Republicans want a narrow bill that just specializes in NIL. And so the compromises fell through. And so that's left us here, right? Which is a predictable position where boosters are using NIL to induce recruits and retain their own players.
Were you expecting them to do this? Were they trying to get recruits to their campus, but they're recruiting college kids? Like there's a kid from Cincinnati, correct? Where is it USC or whoever is putting together all this money to try to bring him? I would imagine stuff like that is what they're going to try to regulate eventually, or is that just going to be common knowledge? What's going to happen with everybody?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest issue right now. It's actually not that boosters are inducing high school prospects. It's that boosters are inducing athletes on active college rosters. That has been kind of the real issue here. Certainly the real issue that coaches have in retaining players. So I think what you're going to see happen next week is the NCAA is going to come out with some guidelines. And basically, they're just reminding all member schools in these booster collectives and these boosters, hey, boosters for years now have been prohibited from involving themselves in recruiting. Now, we know that they've been involved in an under-the-table way. Everybody kind of knows that. But now they're doing it over the table and obvious and brazenly, and I think the NCAA is reminding everybody, hey, look, this is illegal, this is prohibited. The problem with that, of course, is you have state laws that are going to be potentially protecting some of these collectives, some of these boosters, and that means we'll probably all end up in court at some point.
Who's going to represent the players in that thing? Because what you're saying about them recruiting other college players' teams, it's like if I end up at a small school in high school, I put that work in, all right? I put that work in, then I get better from freshman to sophomore year, okay, and then I put on some good film going into sophomore year, and then I got 2 years left of eligibility, and maybe the school that I went to is like not able to do what another school is able to do with like, I don't know, like, hey, here's $500,000. That changes your entire family's being forever. $500,000 gets everybody out of debt. You've already done it before the age of 21 here. Congratulations. This is the transfer portal. You go there. Then you just come sign with us, and now everybody's happier. Like, who represents the players in this thing that say, like, this is cool the way it is? Anybody doing that, or do you see that happening?
Yeah, well, there is. There's a pretty big group that's actually not just on the player side with this issue, kind of saying like you mentioned, right? This is okay. You know, it's okay. Our players are finally getting a piece of the cut after years and years of these big TV deals, $1 million TV deals. Players are finally getting a cut of it. You know, coaches' salaries through the roof. So yes, there's a big group that are with the players, and now players can have agents, right? So they're using agents to facilitate.
That's wild to me.
Deals.
Hey, that's wild to me.
Correct. That's a problem, right? That's starting to be a problem of agents recruiting off of other college teams, kind of in a way. They're involved in all this. So this has kind of been part of the issue as well. But the athlete, you're right, the athletes are benefiting here, like they probably should have for years. But there's got to be, I think college officials would tell you, there's got to be some kind of guidelines and regulations to this thing. It's kind of like pro football, but unregulated pro football, right? Just completely unregulated free agency. And so I think you're going to see some of those guidelines come up next week. Will they be enforced? I don't know. Will somebody be made an example of? That's the problem right now, Pat, is that the NCAA is not enforcing anything. And there are obvious inducements going on right now. And the NCAA is just not enforcing anything because they are scared, I think, mostly of getting sued. And also because, honestly, they don't have the staff capacity to do all of this at every school, because virtually, I don't want to say every school is doing it, but a lot of schools are doing it.
All right, well, we appreciate you so much for your time. You can find them on SI Now, Sports Illustrated's Ross Dellinger. Thank you, man. Thank you, buddy. How about that, AJ? Look at us diving into the weeds of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is a weird world going on right now with all of that.
It's capitalism, right? But then if there's no salary cap at all, that's awesome.
Yeah, wide open. How do you keep guys anywhere? Like, they're gonna have tamper. I don't know how you put guardrails up, as they say, for any of it, really.
Yeah, because couldn't somebody have, and devil's advocate, just very clearly here, devil's advocate, like Pat White should have been able to go somewhere and make millions and millions and millions of dollars as a college football player because of how good he was at college, and then his NFL career ended up what it was, especially with a hit on the sideline and very cut short. So his lifetime earnings much different, because of what happened and how big he was at college. So it's like, I will always view Steve Slayton, same thing. I mean, Steve and Pat and Owen and I could go through a lot of them. Noel came later, but like Steve and Pat rebuilt West Virginia. That place was rebuilt because of them, and their NFL careers weren't the super high grossing NFL careers that I think everybody would always say, like, he'll make his money in the NFL, he'll make his money in the NFL. So there's always going to be that conversation on the other side too. It's like fascinating. How do you put the toothpaste back in?
How do you? I don't know how you do it now. I mean, all of a sudden the gates opened up, everyone could get paid, and then here we are. And it's all, I don't know. It's actually not, it's not spoken about as much as I thought it would be when we were looking at, like, back in the day, whenever we were talking about this, like, becoming a real thing. Like, I feel like now it's like, okay, yeah, dude got $1.5 million. Cool.
Bro, that was a year ago. That conversation with Gonzo was a year ago in like another month or whatever.
In April.
Yeah, it was April. Year and a month. That's not
I see a lot of local commercials here of like Ohio State basketball players with at car dealerships and football players. I'm like, man, these guys driving sweet trucks and stuff in college.
Yeah, I saw a couple guys at another school obviously show up with the same exact Chargers basically parked next to each other. And everybody's like, what the fuck? Been here a long time. I haven't seen that. Now, that was somewhere else, obviously, not in my school that I was at. That was somewhere else. But I think we all assumed that it would be used in recruiting, though. Like, I think that directly what Ross said over the counter.
Did you think college to college, though? Did you think they'd be, okay, USC is going to see some stud for Cincinnati and be like, hey, we can give you $2 million, come on over?
I don't know, because I think with the growth of the transfer portal, I think everybody would kind of just assume that'd become the case. So are they paying them and they're on scholarship, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Or is it like, am I netting?
Hey, you don't need to do
$1.5 million?
Yeah,
Is it
good.
gross,
Maybe
or
they do that.
Is it, yeah, what is it? And then they have more scholarships to give out. Oh, no. What if that becomes the thing? So then the scholarships are just going to the walk-ons, basically.
Yeah.
So the walk-ons are like the kids who can't get any NIL deals. Everybody that can get NIL deals,
good idea.
You're just paying, you're just getting paid, and you're going to school. It's just a part of the whole thing. Oh, my God. Did we just fix the whole thing?
That might be the way to do it.
Yeah.
And would they put a ceiling on it? Like,
Hey, if your school doesn't have one of these, sorry about it.
yeah.
Sorry about it. Find someone. Now, we're saying that as, I don't know if, I think West Virginia has one.
What do you mean has one?
What do you mean?
What do you mean, like an NIL group? What do you mean?
Yeah, an NIL group. Yeah.
The group, like these groups that come together, though. I know different schools, they have these big groups.
You guys have had them for years.
Yeah, they're outside
Autographs.
groups that what they raise money and then they choose, like they have a board that chooses who to give the money to, or how's it work?
No, it's for deals. It's for deals.
Yeah.
It's for deals.
The team.
Yeah, deals. But no, like back in the day, they would just put people's names on like libraries and stadiums and stuff. You know, like yours, for instance. Oh,
No, yeah, believe me, when people have asked me to donate, you could we could put your name on this archway going into that room. Like, okay, no, I don't care about that. But
Hey, that was going right into your pocket, right, when you were playing there, though?
what was going in my pocket?
Those donations that are coming from those big time.
It's going right in all the cranes you see outside, building all the facilities every single day.
Yeah. That's because they're nonprofit. Remember, they were not nonprofit for the week.
Right. So is the NFL.
Yeah, they're classified as that in a, which is a whole nother conversation. Whole nother business conversation. But the colleges, they always say like, we made no money last year. They say only 10% of schools make money from athletics. And it's like, look at our brand new $500 million building right here.
Yeah.
Look at our new $750 million lab over here. It's like, oh, I wonder why you guys aren't making money.